What up, guys? Alright, we're going to do a surprisingly overpowered anime character list. This is on WatchMojo. So, this is actually 5 years old, so this is pretty old. This is an old one, so, let's get on with it, and I'll tell
Whoa,
you whether I
really?
deem
That was
they're strong enough or, what I will believe who should be on this list later. But of course, I know that they do these lists like every so often, so I know there's a whole new list of it, but
you?
Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 surprisingly overpowered anime characters. Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Oh, before we begin, for me anyway, I do videos, at least try to do it three times a week or so. So hit that notification and like button if you like this, and
For this
let me know
list,
what you think.
we'll be looking at the anime characters that are unassuming on the surface, only to then be revealed as insanely strong.
邪魔になる奴らは一つずつ潰すよ
Prepare for some
Yeah, I've seen a lot
spoilers
of these
and
animes,
deadly
but
power
some of them
levels.
I haven't. So we'll just see.
Number 10, Len. Sword Art Online alternative, Gun Gale Online. She comes up to everyone's hip, and she's the only gunslinger around whose choice of wardrobe consists of every shade of bright
I remember
pink
Sword Art.
imaginable.
理由を聞くまでは絶対に撃たないつまり教えてくれなければ撃つ
死んでしまいます。
まあそう
Basically, I just remember Sword
However,
Online
you'd be a
with
fool
Kirito.
to underestimate her, as Len's exceptional speed and itchy trigger finger have led her to wipe out numerous professionals across the virtual gaming world of Gun Gale.
Yeah, Gun Gale. That was like season 2, which it was okay. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I actually like
She's
Gun
conquered
Gale.
all manner of
Sword Art
treacherous
Online with
terrains
Kirito.
and even outmaneuvered combat professionals, all while retaining her signature cuteness. All you Battle Royale players had better be wary.
You see, I wouldn't put her on this list. I never seen Sword Art Online Gun Gale with her. The only one I seen is Sword Art Online with Kirito when he did Gun Gale. I really feel like Sword Art Online was kind of like, if y'all remember watching it, when it first came out, it was like the biggest thing in the world, like better than sliced bread for anime. It was huge. It almost kind of made the genre of isekai or the gaming genre of anime big, for what I can remember. I remember when it came out episode by episode. I was watching on Crunchyroll when it was still free. Now, the Sword Art Online Gun Gale with her, I didn't see because I felt like it was a cash grab. Now, that being said, I don't believe that she should be on this list. I really believe that Kirito should be on the list. Now, me saying that, Kirito might actually be on this list, but I believe that she's not one of the strongest characters, especially when we talk about gaming. I feel like there's others that would have been way better on this list, but I don't even remember if this was that popular. In fact, I don't think it was. But it's everyone's favorite.
Number 9, Tony Chopper. One Piece. You wouldn't expect a
Okay, this one's another one. Tony Chopper, or Chopper, he is strong, and don't get me wrong, I love One Piece, and I love all the characters in One Piece, and I love especially the Straw Hats. How can you not? Chopper is a huge moneymaker. That might as well be the Pikachu or Pokemon theme, how much merchandise Chopper has alone. But for them saying he's overpowered, I wouldn't agree, because even in this monster form, when he used it, it was powerful. Like when he faced CP9 for the first time, it was like almost unbeatable. So if they talking about CP9, but a little bit after that though, he kind of like let's say after the time skip, even when he learns it, it's still tough. But there are opponents that can fight him on an even level. Now, granted, 5 years ago, no, 5 years ago was the time skip still. So I still say there was too many opponents that they faced that will be able to handle Tony Chopper in the monster form. So really, I wouldn't put Chopper on this list. But I guess it says surprisingly overpowered. But I still wouldn't put him on the list. I'll put someone else on the list. If we talk about One Piece wise, I would have put someone else on the list like Usopp. And I know people would say Usopp not overpowered.
Hawking
but
reindeer to be a pirate crew's
consider
resident
him
doctor,
way
let
stronger
alone
than
a
Usopp.
powerhouse. So it was pretty shocking to see that this devil fruit user had access to a whole variety of forms outside of his cuddly default.
Now, yeah, like I said, now don't get me wrong now.
He can
In that
bulk
monster
up into
form,
a
he can
towering
take anyone
muscle man,
down.
turn himself into a karate expert, as well as unleash
And when I
the
face something
monster
like that,
within,
he's
becoming
basically a
beast
titan
that
in
can
the
beat the
One
7
Piece
bells
One
out of
Piece
any
world in that
CP9 lackey. Remember folks, fluffy doesn't equal harmless. Number 8, Sebas, Overlord.
Okay.
By now, it would be safest to assume that every anime but
Okay. Before we keep going, I will agree. Sebas is surprisingly overpowered. Everybody in Ainz on Google Guild is overpowered. All the NPCs are. So I really don't have much to say about this one. Just that,
Butler is essentially a living weapon.
yeah, most butlers are overpowered. But can he defeat
Even by those standards, you'd be
Sebas
hard-pressed to find one
on
that's
Black
more
Clo- on
OP
Black Butler?
than this
That's the
servant
real
of
question.
Ainz Ul Gown. When a lady friend of his gets kidnapped, Sebas was all too happy to demonstrate that just because he cleaned up after the other flawed guardians, it didn't mean he was a pushover.
how disrespectful you gotta be to kick them, to have your leg go all the way up, you blocking their hit, you holding both of their hands, and they just see your leg do almost a split and kick, and like a, what is it, like an axe kick or whatever it's called, one huge kick like that. That's so disrespectful.
With nothing more than a few bouts of fisticuffs, he managed to remove the heads of a
Undead
feared
King,
criminal
that was the worst thing he ever
organization's
said.
deadliest members. Talk about served. Number 7, Pride. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. The
Oh my
homunculi are
Well, I'll let
well
this
known
go.
for their monstrous forms and killer fighting ability, though who could have guessed that the deadliest of the bunch would be but a child?
You ask my name? It's Pride. And I was the first homunculus.
With the entire country acting as his
insane, that
flask,
gives me
the
chills.
first homunculus was a being capable of conjuring solid shadows that could easily slice apart and devour any careless mortals. Hell, he was even willing to kill his own brood to suit his purposes. He's a dedicated son, one who is more than happy to send legions of alchemists to their doom in the name of Father. Number 6, Kuso Saiki.
Now, for Full Metal Alchemist, if any of y'all remember or ever seen Full Metal Alchemist, just the original one, the original anime one, it took me a while to fall in love with Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. And even to this day, I hit myself that it took me so long. I'm a type of guy, when it comes to my anime, I feel like I don't like changes so much. But Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood was way better. Of course, it followed the manga through and through instead of the Full Metal Alchemist, which kind of it went its own path. It also apparently had a lot more fillers. But I will say Pride, in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, if I remember correctly, they had Pride like be the mother, or no, I think Pride was Bradley in the original. I mean, in the first anime they did, Pride was Bradley. Now, of course, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, like I said, is actually the correct one, and he's pretty overpowered. Now, I never seen this anime. Part of me wants to, another part of me don't really feel like
The
it.
disastrous life of Saiki K. Blessed or cursed if you ask him, with incredible psychic powers, this pink-haired teenager has enough power to manipulate the minds of the entire planet with just a thought.
小5の頃の僕はタワーマンショ
Yeah,
ンくら
I
い
feel like this
軽
is
く
more
持って
like a
たし
slapstick,
月
like
くらいなら軽く破壊できただろう
In fact, he has, multiple times. While he tries his best to live a boring life,
What's that show?
Saiki often finds himself having to use
Genta?
his near
I can't
infinite
remember the name of that
abilities
show.
to save his loved ones from harm, or just to get himself out of an annoying situation.
つまり壁に寄りかかったら壁はウエハースのように壊れ人とぶつかったりしたらそいつは遥か彼らに吹き飛んでいきもしこの状態で走ったりしたら
Looks from the
空
clips alone, he does look
圧で
overpowered.
周りの人の服を切り裂いていく
Humanity doesn't know how lucky they are, because it wouldn't take much for Saiki to blow the planet up.
ただ届かなかったら困るから
A Kamijou, a certain magical index. While he may take the crown for unluckiest character in all of anime, at least Touma can rest easy knowing he never has to worry about any high-level espers getting the jump on him. Why? Because he can cancel their abilities in an instant.
I don't know what to tell you. Maybe it's coincidence, or just plain bad luck. Either way, this really
Now, this
isn't
is
your
amazing
night.
anime.
As such, not
It
even
has
the
a
mass-murdering accelerator or
storyline.
Misaka the railgun can hold a candle to him. Heck, it even allowed him the chance to sock an evil nun right in the face. We'd say losing all good fortune in the process is a small price to pay.
Let's see who's the stronger one now!
Number 4, Mob.
Now, anything he's more like Black Clover, how Asta is, but Asta actually is quite powerful in his world. Now, you can say the same thing for him, but he gets beat up a lot. Like, for his ability to work, it's just that right arm. Yeah, it's just that right arm. Not both of his arms, just that right arm. It turns out that arm has like the power of different dragons or something, if I can remember correctly. But for him to cancel people's powers, he's still gonna have to take the hits. So it's like people powers can still hit him. He just gotta make sure he's able to block it with that hand every time. And like if you watch the anime, it's an amazing story in anime. It's unbelievable. But he actually, I wouldn't say that he's overpowered because he gets beat up most of the time. In fact, he's half dead every time he fights him. Most the other people in this that we've seen overpowered, some of them, they kind of go through with it, but Touma, not really. He really just scrapes by the skin of his teeth and kind of jumps around.
Mob Psycho 100. Right now, you must be thinking, how could such a precious peach like this even be considered overpowered?
じゃあ影山
Mob Psycho is so
Well, as long as you keep his emotional gauge as close to zero as possible, then he's as harmless as can be. However, if it manages to reach 100, then prepare to have your mind blown.
僕は
Mob Psycho is
Saiki
basically
da.
like Saiki. I mean, it's created by the same person.
That's the most powerful Esper to ever exist. When Mob lets loose, he doesn't just annihilate his foes,
Oh, yeah,
he
he beats
turns
the shit out.
everything into a psychedelic fever
Yeah,
dream.
yeah, he
Push
beats
him
them
too far and he'll likely take an entire city apart.
He shows no mercy. He's a nice boy, but don't get it twisted, boy.
Thankfully, his sweet boy
You know how to take
personality
it down.
tends to stop him from destroying mankind. Number 3,
Let's see when it
Arale
comes to his
Norimaki, Dr. Slump and Dragon Ball series. We can only imagine that Dr. Giro is bashing his head against a wall down in Robot Hell. After all, if he had only employed this android to wipe out Goku and friends, then he would have had nothing to worry about. That's right, this
Akira
guest
Toriyama,
character
rest
from
in
Akira
peace.
Toriyama's previous wig has enough power to split the planet in half with a punch.
Yep, that's right. I'm a robot.
What? You're kidding me!
That's not a joke. She actually did that. Oh, and she managed to make short work of Vegeta.
Tag, you're it now.
In short, if you see this adorable machine, run for the...
She's basically like Saitama. She's a slapstick character. Now, I will agree, she is overpoweredly broken, but that was the joke. When Akira Toriyama created Dragon Ball and created her,
hills because her vision
it
of
was still action,
playtime
but it was still a
often
comic.
leads to
So
wide.
when he created this and created her specifically, it was just a joke. Everything that she can do was overpowered. Heck, she could probably be Beerus.
Spread
In fact, that's
destruction.
probably she can. I haven't even seen this episode, actually.
Number 2, Zeno, Dragon Ball Super.
Yeah.
These destroyers are bad. We need new ones. Just kidding.
The Dragon Ball franchise has given us no shortage of characters capable of destroying whole worlds with a snap of their fingers. But there's only one that can erase entire universes, and that would be this weird little popsicle.
こんな世界消えちゃえ。
Standing
There are
atop the
characters that's
pedestal
probably
as the
stronger, but
strongest entity in existence,
He's up
the
there.
Omni
At
King
the very
is as
least, he is
powerful
up there.
as he is childish, one happily willing to set up a tournament between all 12 universes,
Yeah.
wherein the loser would be removed from time and space just for shits and gigs.
And that would make him terrifying. He's just a brat. Imagine disappearing and you got a smile on your face. I wouldn't do it.
Best to stay on his good side.
外からはダメ。
Number 1, Escanor, the 7 deadly sins.
人間ではないな
My boy Escanor, one of my favorite characters. I will say he is definitely overpowered. Surprisingly so.
While appearing to be nothing more than a meager man with an admittedly impressive moustache, Escanor soon proved doubters otherwise when he unleashed his true form. One packing more muscles than we believed possible, only to then go and beat 2 of the
Oh,
10
yeah.
commandments like they were paper dolls.
Oh, yeah. Escanor, he would clean the
まとも
house.
には死ねな
He
い
would definitely clean the house.
震えるsun
Like, the sun itself is already an overpowered ability, just because how hot it is.
Manly doesn't even begin to cover it.
And with the overpowered people that's on 7 Deadly Sins, it's almost like a demonic. Yeah, it's real.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great.
But anyway, guys, that was the list. Like I said, this is 5 years old, so this is very old. But that's what I believe. That's basically my opinion of what I believe of the top 10 overpowered anime characters are right now. Now, if you like if you liked it, subscribe, like, you know, the regular stuff. Spam me up, let me know what you think, and give me suggestions. You know, I'll always do what y'all say. Sometimes, depending on what it is.